let's consider what division of fractions would look like. So if we interpret the division as a fraction, which we're allowed to do, then we'll get what's called a complex fraction, or fractions inside of fractions. This would be a over b over c over d. So we're dividing one fraction by the other. And notice that if we multiply the top and bottom of the big fraction by d, we would get AD over B divided by C. Now what if we divide the top and bottom of the big fraction by C? The C's on the bottom would cancel, and we'd be left with AD over BC. And notice that that's just really equal to A over B times D over C. In other words, if we want to divide fractions, all we have to do is flip the second fraction and change the operation to multiplication. So notice, the only difference between these is that we've taken the second fraction, C over D, and flipped it to D over C, and we changed the operation from division to multiplication. This means when we want to divide fractions, flip the second fraction and multiply. You'll sometimes hear this referred to as invert and multiply. So consider this division of rational expressions problem. So we're going to flip the second fraction and change the operation to multiplication. So the first fraction stays the same, x minus 3 over 3x minus 2. We change the operation to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction, 9x squared minus 4. So notice what was in the denominator is now in the numerator, and what was in the numerator will now go in the denominator. Now we proceed just as we did with any problem that was the multiplication of rational expressions. So what we're going to do then is combine these into one fraction by multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators, and at the same time we'll factor everything so that we can see which factors can cancel out and which don't. So we have a factor of x minus 3 from here. Then we'll factor 9x squared minus 4 to get 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. We'll have this 3x minus 2 from this denominator. And when we factor 3x minus 9, we'll get 3 times x minus 3. So going through and canceling as before, the x minus 3's cancel, 3x minus 2's cancel, and we're left with 3x plus 2 over 3. So if we start with this division problem, then the first thing we do is change the operation to multiplication and flip the second fraction. This would give us x squared minus x minus 6 over 3x minus 9 times 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 over x squared minus 3x. So we took what was in the denominator here, moved it to the numerator, took what was in the numerator, moved it to the denominator. Now we combine everything into one big fraction by multiplication, and we're going to factor it at the same time. Giving us, so x squared minus x minus 6 factors as x minus 3 times x plus 2. And 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 factors as 2x plus 1 times x minus 3, just as it did previously. We'll factor 3x minus 9 as 3 times x minus 3, and then x minus 3. Now we look for common factors and see what we can divide the top and bottom of this fraction by to simplify it. X minus 3's go away, x minus 3's go away there, leaving us with, as before, 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 over 3x.